Hey, what's good? What's good? What's good with y'all this morning? Y'all know what it is. It's your boy Trey, my man Bishop. We are E2G Sports Network presents.
First formation. How y'all doing, man? Falling. Let's go, man. Y'all know what it is. It's Thursday, Friday Eve, and it is time for first formation. You got my boy Trey over there. Your man Bishop in the building. The GOAT. Don't forget it. We got a big game tonight, Thursday night game. Thursday night game.
I saw you see that.
You being a hater. But anyway, hey, excuse my tardiness yesterday, or not my tardiness, my absence yesterday because got getting things squared away, trying to get the clothes on this house. I probably won't be here tomorrow because we're supposed to close. Got a lot of things for y'all that have closed on houses and things like that before. There's a lot of red tape and things of that nature. But either way, we are here. I'm here. I'm only gonna be here for a few minutes. I'm not gonna be here long. So Trey and I've already spoke. We're gonna go ahead and get into this Thursday night NFL football where we have the undefeated Trey's team, who he's picked to be that, or he picked the man on that team to be the man this season. He picked, Tua Tagovailoa to be that dude, and he's doing his thing right now at 3-0, going against the 1-2. Are they 1-2 or 2-1?
1-2.
Yeah, 1-2. I thought so. They 1-2 Cincinnati Bengals, and running Joe Burrow all over the field. He can't even get an opportunity to look downfield well enough to do anything. Him and, of course, Jamar Chase, and, of course, Tua has, the cheetah and Tyreek Hill. It's going to be a big game tonight. The game is at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So be sure to check it out. I'm sure Trey and Ron and them will talk about the game tomorrow. But for me, let me go ahead and get my pick out the way. I'm going to say that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase
Really?
are going to be the
That's how
team.
you feeling?
Yes, it's going to be the team to knock Miami off their run. So I am picking the Cincinnati Bengals. That's a Tiger. Y'all should know why. Let's go. Let's stand up, Tigers. Let's go, Cincinnati. Joe, go in there and do your thing, baby. Y'all block for that man. What you got, Trey? What you got, man?
I'm going with Miami. That's just
Of
clear
course,
cut.
you should. You should. It's
That's
expected.
that's
It's
not,
expected.
goodness
Hopefully, Ron will
gracious.
come on here
I
and say
hope
we
Ron
got.
can go with
Yeah,
Cincinnati too.
yeah. Look, he
Let's
trying to make up
go.
that room. He trying to
Yes,
make up
let's
all that room
go.
he can. That dude
Yes,
there is,
let's
hey,
go.
he trying to get there.
Ah,
He trying to get
goodness
there.
gracious! Like
Yeah,
that's outrageous. So,
major. We got some college games tonight too, huh?
one BYU faces
Mm,
off against Utah State, number
okay.
19. Well, there's other college games, but of course
No,
that's the most
ranked 20.
important.
Yeah,
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 number
ranked
top
games.
25 ranking.
Yeah.
So yeah, so BYU at number 19. Of course, BYU is expected to take that game and
Hmm.
possibly move up. So
We
with
shall see.
a loss, I mean, at number 19, you get a good. There's a good possibility that you're going to move up because it's other teams, especially with five ranked games,
Mm-hmm.
ranked versus ranked games. So BYU is in a good position to move up, but definitely.
Yep.
Uh, well, first, saying congratulations are definitely in order as in the Major League Baseball as
Oh yes, sir.
the Dodgers won franchise record 107th win with 7 games still left. Do they get 114 total wins? I'm for it. I'm here for it. But what is most engaging and interesting? New York Yankee outfielder Aaron Judge reaches the plateau 61 home runs, tying the Major League the American League record set by Roger Maris in 1961. Now he's at 61. 7 games left to hit 62. Correction. Yeah, to hit 62. Uh, I don't know. Does he get it? Maybe. What's more interesting is 7 games. Bishop, do you think I know Roger? I mean, I know Aaron Judge, your beloved Yankees. Is it
Mm-hmm.
possible in 7 games for him to get 13 more home runs?
Oh, I don't know, because it took him a minute to get this last one. He was at that 60 for a minute. He's like 6 games in, and that's to get that 60, to get that 61, to get just that one. So to tie it. So I don't know if he gets 13, man. I think it all depends on who he plays,
Hmm.
who who he faces and stuff like that. I know the other day Stephen A. Smith was upset because they felt that I think they didn't pitch to him, and he was talking about how that's just basically how that's just cowardly of the pitchers to not pitch to him in a way.
Is it
You leave
though? I mean, you can't.
it.
I'm split on
Does
this.
that make does that? But I mean, if you're a pitcher, right, and you
It's
supposed
your
to do
job
that,
to throw strikes or
right,
just or do
right,
what
right,
you
right.
you think
Now, don't get me wrong,
in your situation.
right, but don't get me wrong, you don't want to be that pitcher that he knocks that home run on,
I mean,
and it
I,
be in the books because
I don't
that's what it's
know.
gonna be. That's what
I
it's
don't
gonna
know.
be.
I don't know when you look at it because it's like, do you want to like it? What, I mean, of course, you don't want to be on certain sides of history, but
Right.
again, it's history. Do you want to see him get this, or you know, what I'm saying, or whatever it is, like.
So if you a pitcher, Trey, say you're a pitcher, like you said,
Hmm.
and you facing a judge, and he's
Hmm.
at 61,
Hmm.
or let's say you say, let's say not even 61, let's say what 73. 74. He had 74. He need one more or 73, 74, whatever it
73.
is.
He's at 73.
Okay, 73. He had 73. You're pitching to him. He's up to bat, should I say? He's up to bat. Do you pitch to him to allow him to
Yes.
break the record?
Well, I think. Well, it's not about breaking the record. Like I said, it depends on the situation. In most cases, I'm
Right.
pretty sure.
Like are
Yeah,
you
they
gonna
wasn't
win? Are
pitching
you in
to
a
him because.
possibility? Yeah,
Yeah,
are you in
they
chance?
not pitch, they not walking him because they don't want him to get the record. They walking to him because they don't want him to score.
Right.
And yeah, so it's a different
So my
situation.
question is, I guess my question is, do you pitch to him to
If
so
there's
say
a,
the
if
say
I'm
the
not
say the game is
protecting
blown out.
anything,
Say the game is a blowout. Y'all losing.
yeah, I'm
Y'all
pitching to him.
losing.
I'm pitching
Okay.
to him.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pitching to
Okay.
him. Anything besides that, I'm pitching to him. But if the call
What up, Stanley?
if the what's good, listen. If the situation calls for me to pitch to him regular, or you know
Mm.
what I'm saying, or to walk him, given whatever the circumstances is, then I could get walking him. That's not gonna be my call. That's gonna be the manager's
Ref, the
call.
coach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Mm.
manager's call. But you know what I'm saying. So I'm sure that they're not walking him to hold him off of getting the record. They walking
No,
him
no,
because you know what I'm saying.
we know they walking
Because
him to
no
save the
different how they
game too.
walk Barry
Right.
Bonds. Like you know,
Right. They don't.
had they not been out Barry Bonds, he might have hit 100. You know what I'm saying? So I'm, I'm pitching to him. So of course, when you look at the top 10 for all time single records, in which currently Aaron Judge is potentially chasing, is tied for 10 was Babe Ruth and Carlos Stanton at 59.
You ain't making damn history on my names.
It's good. I say it's. I mean, it's pitchers. So the tie for 10, like I said, Babe Ruth or Carlos Stanton at 59. Stanton in 2017. Babe Ruth 1921. Um, Again, Babe Ruth again in 1927 with
Mm,
60. Currently signed for number 7, Aaron Judge and Rob Maris with at 61, 2022 and 1961. Sammy Sosa twice, number 6 in 60 with 63, and number in 1999, and 2 years later, 64 in 2001. Then in 99, Mark McGuire 65 hit season. Sammy Sosa came back with 66 in 1998. Mark McGuire returns the favor in 1998
yeah,
with
they
a
used to
70.
battle. Yeah, they
Yeah,
used to go back and
with a
forth.
70 home runs, and which
I
was
remember
the
when he hit
mark
that 70. I remember when he hit that 70
for 3 years until Barry Bond blitzkrieg that with a 73 home run
season.
season. Of course, Sosa, McGuire, and Bonds are all currently, although they're not an asterisk, but mentally the asterisk as that being presumably the
Have
steroid
yeah,
or
performance
correction
enhancing drugs.
PED
Yeah,
era. But in any case, you know what I'm saying, they did it. It takes a lot more. I mean, yes, PEDs give them performance and a little more strength, but eye coordination, recognizing speeds of balls and all that type of stuff is also
still doesn't
a
change. Yeah,
factor
it
of
didn't
the
help in
home
that
runs.
aspect. Right.
Yeah. So, additionally, also, Aaron Judge is due to be a free agent after this season.
He's
You
staying. He's
know,
not going nowhere. He's staying right there with my
you
Yanks.
know.
He ain't going
Let's
nowhere.
go, Aaron. We could use a
Mm-mm,
good infielder,
mm-mm.
outfielder in
He said,
Big
"Bring the
Blue.
Royds back." Ron on one today, bro. Good Lord. Ron talking about bring the Royals back. Stop it,
Let's
Ron.
go. Come on,
Um,
come on, come on over to the
nah,
other side of
Judge
the
ain't going
country.
nowhere. So Judge is gonna stay right there and yank. Right there and yank. He ain't going nowhere.
Come on over to the other side of the country, Judge. We'll take care of you, brother.
Nah, for what? For what?
LeBron, come
Oh, here
on,
we
let's
go.
go.
For what?
I love LA. We love it.
No, there's no
Let's
need. There's no
go.
need for that man to come over there to California. Stay where you at, Judge. You could
Yeah, and look,
keep
that's what.
presiding
Hey,
over here.
and
No,
look
don't
at
do it
come on,
wrong. That's
pull up with Mookie, Mookie,
uh
Judge. Let's
no,
go,
no.
Trace. Let's go. Let's build this.
Mm-mm,
106 wins, 107 wins, and build it. Come on,
mm-mm.
Aaron. Come on,
No,
on.
you good where you at. Where you are right now is baseball history. Come on, stay where you at, baby. You knew where to come. Stay where you at.
You ain't got to worry about no one calling you a moolie. Like, come on, Aaron.
No, no,
Come
you know
on,
what?
man.
No, no, you no. He said, okay.
Come on, man. Oh Jesus,
That's funny. That's funny.
what's
Yo,
good?
what's good? What's good, LB? What's good? Dude, I see you, LB. I see you, man. What's up? What's up? Just come
So
over
real
here,
quick,
trade.
so
uh,
real quick NBA conversation, right? Brooklyn,
mm-hmm,
your man Steve Nash. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
Uh, Steve Nash basically states and talks about the real conversation he was talking about. He's really, really impressed, or he's feeling y'all new addition in Ben Simmons.
mm-hmm.
And basically, where he's talking about, he's unique. He's so unique to the fact, like he said, he can care less if Ben ever shoots a jump shot. I'm
Mm.
sure.
I mean,
I
he
am
out there.
sure
That mean he out there performing.
him. Nah, stop playing. Stop
Yeah,
playing.
that's
Bishop,
exactly
don't
what that
see
mean,
you drinking the Kool-Aid, Bishop.
man. What does
No,
that
what
mean?
that
What else
that
does that
means
mean?
that's a bunch of talk. I know without a doubt he cares if that man shoots a jump shot. I know if I was on the team, I would care if he shoot a jump shot. What we cannot have is another
Why?
situation
See,
like he
just
did in
see.
Philly.
That's the different dynamics of the New Jersey Nets, man, or
No,
Brooklyn
don't
Nets.
you
I'm sorry,
even.
the Brooklyn
Don't
Nets.
you
The
even.
Brooklyn Nets. BK stand up. The thing about the Brooklyn Nets, man. We don't work. We don't need the problems in which LA had. We don't need to know who the front man is over there like they need in LA. See, here in Brooklyn, we good. We good. If we don't need him to shoot, we got enough shooters. If he could be that dude
No,
to
stop it.
could distribute and finish at the basket, that's all we need. We know KD can shoot the pill. We know Kyrie can shoot the pill. We know Seth can shoot the pill. We know old boy can shoot like it's so many pill shooters.
If
We
I was
don't need
standing up
another
right
pill
now,
shooter.
if I was
We don't
standing
need
there
him.
right now, you would see my hands on my hip because this is
I can
exactly
tell, right?
like,
I can tell. We
because
don't need another. We
like
do not
no,
need another pill shooter. We don't. We don't
I,
need a pill shooter. We
but
need
so I
somebody who
get
can
that.
finish at the
You don't need
rim, and he
someone
can
that's
do
going
that.
to shoot, but I'm sure you is not. I can see you now. I can see you. I can see it so clearly in my mind right now. We're sitting up and watching the game together, LA versus Brooklyn's series, and Ben Simmons has an wide open just shot, and he doesn't take it to even pass or layup, and you're losing your mind. I
I'm
already
not.
can see that.
I'm not gonna lose my mind, man. My bad, my bad. I'm not gonna lose my mind, man. Because you know what? Being that what Steve Nash has just stated, man, I feel like from that comment or from his statements,
He says
I
he's
feel
unique,
like he's
and he is
cool
unique.
with him
But
being the
would you, if you're
facilitator on
his
the court.
teammate, if you're his teammate, are you cool with it?
I am, to be honest.
I'm not.
So it's
I
great.
wouldn't
Listen,
be. I
I'm gonna
won't
tell
even
you.
lie to you.
No, I'm gonna
I don't
listen.
give a damn if he was a leprechaun.
Now, no, now listen, This is my thing, right? Don't get me wrong. I'm cool with it, but I'm cool with it to an aspect. In other words, like even when I play 2K, right? When we play
Mhm.
the game, right? There's certain guys who, when I dish the ball, like when I'm normally play the three. Sometimes I play the two position too, and a lot of times I like to penetrate and then dish out. Well, me personally, I'm not gonna lie, it burns my buns, bro, when I see um uh me drive to the lane, collapse the defense, and I dish out, and the person don't take the open jumper.
Mhm.
That does hurt me. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm gonna be honest. If Ben does that, I'm gonna be pissed. You're right. I'm gonna be
Yes.
highly pissed. But However, comma, if we know as a team, and now I'm talking from a teammate as aspect, if we know as a team that Ben is not going to take certain jumpers from certain areas, don't get him the ball there. Don't expect something that you know he's not going to do. If you know Ben is that dude that if while you going into the basket and you dishing and he's coming in, kind of like trailing you or coming in right behind you to give the dish to so he can finish at the rim, so be it. Because I'm that type of dude too. If I'm pushing the ball to the paint and getting a defense collapse, and I see a big man coming down the baseline to dish, oh yeah, I'm finna give it to him so he can just dunk on all those that try to go up with me. You know what I'm saying? That's me. So that's I mean, you got to use his strengths. Don't use his weaknesses against him. We know what his strengths are, and we know what his weakness is. Let's not put him in a situation where he has to use his weakness more than his strengths.
So
In my opinion.
additionally, so that now that that's a good point what you said. But additionally, what was also said is, of course, he says he's more concerned. Like he said, he's unique. He's more concerned with him gelling with Kyrie and
Mm-hmm.
KD.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting in what was said is he's like he plans to use them at multiple positions, but
Okay.
in state is he's the point guard. So Ben Simmons is the point guard. He's going to be the PG.
That's
He's
gonna
like,
be crazy with Kyrie being the two.
is
God,
it?
that's gonna
Look at
be
I see the look on
yeah.
your face right now, but is
Yeah,
that you know what I'm saying?
I
Really
mean,
like
I can't wait to see how it all
how it's
works. But yeah,
yes.
how it all transform into whatever. But yeah, that's gonna be crazy to see Ben bring the ball up and not Kyrie.
And they
That's gonna
say
be mad crazy.
and they look at potentially using him at different areas. Ben said he loves playing the five, so he's like, so you're talking
Ben,
about
but wait, Ben ain't. But what is it? Ben 16?
16.
That's a small five.
I mean, is it like we already talked about 2 to 3
When we
inches?
talk about the Giannis's and the Embiids and the
3 inches,
Jokic,
yeah, three
yeah,
inches, three
man, good
inches,
lord,
different than 3 inches.
yeah, that's huge. And then not adding, then you got to add the wingspan.
Yeah,
That's
well, yeah, that part. But I mean, but hell, he's probably the most. Is do you see
he'll be
any?
with the
Do you
probably one
see
of the
any
most
center?
athletic.
I was like, is
Yeah,
there's any center that can guard him?
but probably Embiid. I mean not Embiid. Giannis.
Okay, maybe.
Giannis, I feel
Maybe.
like is one that could probably stick with him. Everybody else would be suspect though. Yeah, at the
Yeah,
center
so
position,
you say, but
everybody
he
else would
said
be.
he loves playing the five, and then
Mm,
of course some other things in which he Steve Nash went over. He's basically said he hopes to get Steph Curry back as he's currently dealing with an ankle injury. He hopes to get him back
oh,
by the 14th of October, which is your last preseason game.
okay,
And then of course he said he's hopeful to get T.J. Warren back, who is due to possibly still recovering from his injuries and is due back possibly around the November timeframe.
okay,
But in state is he appreciates the most is that Ben Simmons is back healthy mentally and both physically. And
okay.
of course he's looking at a treasure trove of things coming forth. So
He's got a point to prove this year, Trey. He has a point to prove this upcoming season because everybody just like you know what I'm saying how they were on KD. I mean, Steph. I mean,
mhm.
Kyrie. He has a point to prove, bro. He sat out just like Zion got a point to prove. All these people that's had issues, injuries, things of that nature that didn't play last season. They have a lot to prove coming up this season, man. And with that, you know what I'm saying. I'm hoping Ben comes in hitting on all cylinders, ready to come out the gate balling. You know what I'm saying? Giving everybody a reason to question and be concerned about them Brooklyn Nets, baby. Brooklyn stand up, BK.
Mhm. Uh, Another thing in the talking to the NBA, there's a lot of praise on Zion Williamson.
Because he lost so much weight, man.
That he's like basically he's just dominant. That's basically what it's saying. They
He
say
lost that weight, got
he
his
came
speed,
back.
that gave him
He's
speed
dominant.
up.
He hasn't
He can get
practiced
up
in
in the air
500
quickly.
games. He hasn't
Yeah.
practiced in 500 games.
500. He ain't played in 500 games. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
but
had.
yeah,
He
the
had. Yeah,
500 games, and he's like he's
yeah.
just looking great.
500 days. Is it 500 games or 500? Yeah, 500
Oh,
games. Right.
500 days, 500 days.
500 days. That's what I
Yeah,
thought. It was
over
days. I thought it
500.
was
I'm
days.
sorry.
Okay.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they
500
look at
days.
that
That's a
like
lot.
Zion.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
That's over almost two
almost two
years.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So of course, they're looking at potentially the projected lineup being Zion Williamson, C.J. McCollum, Valanciunas, Herb Jones, and Brandon Ingram going into the beginning of their season, which they've been practicing.
Hmm.
But do you think Zion Williamson is one of the most dominant players currently?
So to me, I'm gonna tell you this right. before I get up out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Zion Williams reminds me of a Charles Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
He that's the mindset, but way more athleticism to me. That's what Zion reminds me of. I think this, like you said the other day when you said you saw Zion. Zion looks good. He looks good.
Mm-hmm.
He drops some weight. That means he's quicker. That means he get up in the air faster. And we know the boy, as big as he is, excuse me, he can jump out the gym. Like the boy Hobbs is phenomenal. Like it's crazy. Like him and I feel like him and Zion or him and Ja is gonna be the ones to battle on who gonna have the nastiest dunks in the season. You know what I'm saying? Because them two are two high flyers, bro. He young with young legs and can get up. So is he a difference maker? That's yet to be determined. Excuse me. I think that's why I think that's why so many Pelican fans and New Orleans fans are so eager to see what they got when they drafted Zion, because I don't think the analysts, I don't think the team, I don't think the owners, I don't think the fans know exactly what they got in Zion. I think they still waiting to see if it was a good pick to pick up Zion. Now they got, like you said, they got CJ McCollum over there. Now everybody, they really want to see the tandem between them two come together and see if they can bring a championship to New Orleans. But yeah, Zion, he could be that difference maker, but it's yet to be determined in my opinion.
I could definitely dig into a case like that. I know you got to get up out of here, bro, so you can
Yeah, y'all be
get ready to get to the
easy. I'm gonna
business.
holler at y'all. Y'all, hey, I said it. Y'all heard it here first. Cincinnati tonight over the Miami Dolphins. Give them their first L. I'm gonna holler back. Y'all be easy. Peace.
So of course, continue on and having the topics conversations. A couple of things that came up this morning, right? So one, take in consideration, right? You have a player at a certain point. This player is shooting 40% from three at the most critical time. 40% from 3 point range, behind the arc, 24 feet. And then you come back the next season, you thinking, okay, this is great. What's good, Coach Ryan? Good, glad to see your information. Shooting 40% from the arc, and then this player comes back the next season and shoots 18%. This is a story of Anthony Davis. While in 2019, towards the end of 2019, uh, Anthony Davis, 40% from 3 point during the playoffs. Comes back the next season, correction, 2020. Comes back the next season, 18% from 3 point. Contributing to the Los Angeles Lakers being the 22nd team in 3 point shooting in the NBA. And it all seemingly was due to a wrist injury, an undisclosed wrist injury. Not to say that this was to be an excuse on anything, but that was a contribution to why Anthony Davis wasn't as effective from 3 point as he was during the playoffs. Basically, he stated that it was painful. Every time he shot, it messed his rotation. He couldn't follow through, and he had basically had to deal with it. At this point, Anthony Davis came back. He said he's healthy, he's ready to go, and there's not going to be any issues. We're not going to have any problem at that. So, of course, it remains to be seen. But it brings up one of the things in which there has been a back and forth in a sense. So, of course, we know Darvin Ham, newly appointed head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, comes in, and his main thing is to fix the lackluster defense of the Los Angeles Lakers. They believe they brought in some pieces that are going to assist with that and help to drive that home. Uh, Basketball president and GM Rob Pelinka says, although, yes, that's true. You know what I'm saying? We want to work on defense, but shooting is also a huge issue and factor, and we need to work on that as well. And in which they believe they brung in some people. Of course, they're not. Oh, if you were with us a couple of days ago, we discussed the NBA media day. Actually, Monday, or correction, not Monday, Tuesday. We discussed the media day, NBA media day, in which one of the focuses and discussions was that in reference to Russell Westbrook, to where they said, as long as he's here, we're going to do what we can to get a championship. And as long as he's in purple and gold, we're here with him. That is, as long as he's purple or gold. In which Rob Pelinka came on and stated that yes, we have Russ here, we're going to work, but we're always looking to upgrade. And if Russell Westbrook is a part of bringing in an upgrade, then that's just what it is. But of course, they said they believe Russell Westbrook, Scottie Pippen Jr., uh, Patrick Beverly, and all those sorts are players that they can work from within to have a shoot to be able to shoot to have a shooting to be able to have a team that can be shoot better than the dismal what they have. But of course, Patrick Beverly, there was a conversation which Patrick Beverly had uh, with the reporter, in which the reporter told Patrick Beverly that he has been mentioned as a slasher. Like he can go ahead and cut to the basket to get those easy points. Like count as a reporter suggested that Patrick Beverly, as a veteran guard, might have a change in his offensive role that could include cuts to the basket for the season. Of course, Patrick Beverly being the person that he is, quote, my numbers say I shoot threes. Said, I don't know if I should be cutting. I don't know if your numbers say you're a reporter or whatever. I don't know if you should be a fireman or anything. Not with your job and title. You wouldn't want to do that. So I wouldn't want to cut to the basket. He basically went no further to say and point out that he has shot 39% on catch and shoot threes with while he was in Minnesota last year, in the same range as Steph Curry, who also was 39% on catching threes. And he basically says that numbers don't lie. I'm an elite catch and shoot 3-point shooter. My defense has always been at the has always been at the forefront because that's what people see. But when it comes down to the numbers, I can shoot with the best of them. End quote. That is, like Patrick Beverly basically giving them the the knowledge, the mathematics on don't discount him as being a 3-point shooter. Don't discount him as being a shooter. That's not what that is. He's not a he don't cut to the basket. He shoots three and plays defense. That's what it is. I don't know if all you high speeds agree or not, but of course, feel free to post in the comments what's your take on that. I'm very sure, Coach Wayne, Coach, I'm sick of Pat Beverly already as a Laker. So I don't know, Coach. You know what, Coach Wayne is. I knew once he got signed that it was going to become a good and a bad thing. I just hope that it doesn't sip and doesn't cause a fray in the locker room and stuff like that because of his content or his way of is coming across and speaking and everything like that. Like he says, numbers don't lie. I don't have access to to synergy to see up to be checking, but he said numbers don't lie. He's a 39% catch and shoot 3-point shooter, no different than Steph Curry. That's what the numbers say. But I don't know, Coach. It's just I guess we're gonna have to take the good and the bad. I'm wondering why they're not talking about Cole Swider as a 3-point shooter. He's probably the better shooter in the league on the team. But I hope he doesn't get buried in the roster. Let these young bucks get it and go. Coach Uriah, I know you out there. Any rebuttal? Anything you have to say, Coach? Oh my goodness. There you go. So I don't know how Montreal's gotten that. Uh, I was never a KCP fan myself. Uh, Kuzma, I, I don't know. I don't know what happened to Kuzma, Coach. I was all for honestly. I was all for the whole trading away everybody else and keeping Kuzma. I mean, outside of Brandon Ingram, but of course, Brandon Ingram was a piece. But trading away everyone else starting to look good outside of Ingram. I mean, we see what's going on with Lonzo. His injuries are starting to pile up. He's potentially going to be out another season. But Montrez, I don't know. he's become starting to see more of a utility, less of a utility and bench play, and more of a bench player, even at this point in his career. After winning six man, and which he went to LA and did the 2 years and then left. Uh, yeah, see, Kuzma. I think Kuzma was just relegated. I don't know what happened to Kuzma. He was a commodity. He was one of the players that is looking at not giving him maybe his his value outshined because of where they got him as a pick, and he outplayed that, but he didn't outplay anything else besides that. And now I think he has to make a comeback in Washington. But we're not putting the hopes in Patrick Beverly, coach. That's definitely not going on. That's not what we're saying. It's just, but out of those three, I would none of them would have been. I think KCP was kind of I grew into it, but we paid KCP a good amount of money as well. And all of that being said, and he came in my opinion, he came in to be the player that we was looking for late, which made him susceptible to be gone. I.e., we pick up Malik Monk, and then Monk ends up leaving, going to I think the Sacramento. So, but I mean, this too we shall overcome. Laker nations, of course. He got the Brandon Roy knees. Coach, matter of fact, Coach, good point, Coach Wayne. Coach Uriah, what you got to say about Lonzo? Where's that accountability? We talking about Lonzo. What's up? And don't try to put it on us because he's been removed from LA a long time. He'd have been between either left LA, went to New Orleans, and left New Orleans. What's up, Coach? What's your take on Lonzo Ball? All right, Coach. Got you. No problem. Uh, I'm always going to be proud to say Laker Nation, Anthony. Without a doubt, win, lose, whatever, because we always go restock and retool. That's what it is. It's just one of those franchises. Like they're not going to be down for long. Laker Nation always. Oh, let me see. What's my next? What's next? What's next on the bill? Matter of fact, this is what's next on the bill. So, of course, like we talked about, just got finished speaking in reference to um, Patrick Beverly, the Lakers, Anthony Davis, 40% shooting, 40 of 18, in which hopefully he overcomes that and puts himself back in position to be a scorer from the outside, as from the center position or power forward position, whatever the position is that they're going to have him playing. Um, let's talk about something that's interesting. A little, it's sports related, but it's a little off topic. Still kind of in the NBA, only because of the individual. So if y'all pay attention to other things uh, outside of sports, of course, I'm very sure Coach Wayne does, as we have a conversation before about some other things. But in this case, Forbes magazine. So if I'm talking Forbes, we're talking money. Forbes magazine has distinguished and put out and let it be known, confirmed that Los Angeles Clippers owner Steve Ballmer is the richest man when it comes to sports franchises. He's number one. Of course, there's 400. The Forbes just placed their 400 richest people in the world. I didn't get to see where Steve Ballmer is within the 400, but when it comes to his realm, his community, the sports community, he is numero uno. He is the ace of the sports community, with a value worth of $83 billion. And that's with the 13.5 billion drop off when it comes to his stocks in Microsoft. Of course, he's number one. Number two, interesting enough, well, not I guess it's not really. He's probably gonna be coming for that number one spot at some point. But number two, newly minted owner Rob Walton, of course, of Walmart fame, comes in at number two with a worth of $57 billion. When you look at that, the Clippers, having the number one. But in the top 10 of sports, 6 of the 10 top money makers in NFL are NFL teams. 6 of the 10. Interesting enough. So NFL owners dominate the list. Um, the NFL teams have even held the most value, as since 1998, the NFL teams have compiled for a 1,500% increase in their valuations over the course of that time, over the last 24 years. Ooh, that's an interesting situation, Coach. That happened. I think that that's, you know what? That's interesting. What's good, Rich Applewhite? That is an interesting topic, Coach. I don't think it's going to. Do you think the Clippers are ready to hold their own town, Coach? Does that dynamic? You think that's the actual dynamic that makes sense? I mean, they're moving. They're just now getting to their own stadium. Do you think they can they can thrive as their own in their own town? The only NBA franchise in the town? I don't know. Uh, okay, with Bomber as his owner, Hmm, that's an interesting concept. I wonder has that been kicked around and to leave LA as the only well, interesting. But I mean, and I think what's going on now is LA is starting to be the tale of the tale of one city, two franchises. You got the Los Angeles Clippers, you got the Los Angeles Clippers, you got the Los Angeles Lakers, you have the Los Angeles Angels, the Los Angeles Dodgers, Los Angeles Rams, Los Angeles Chargers. Uh, I think is built on the fact of the of rivalries. Is what pushes is what powers that engine. And I don't know, UCLA, USC. Um, I think it's more so predicated the everything is predicated on the two city rival, this dual city rivalry, which continues to power and say and build upon that. Even though they say the Clippers are the little brother, I mean, it's evident that they've been a little more successful outside of not winning a not winning a championship in the last couple of years. I mean, not winning a championship compared to LA's championships, but they've been more successful outside of that, in my opinion. More wins in the over the last 10 years. Um, I don't know though, but I mean, I wouldn't necessarily frown upon that, Coach. That's interesting. I'll have to look into some research into that. Do some research into that. Hmm. Uh, but yeah, continue on with the like I said, 6 teams, 6 out of 10 of the top 10 teams in the on the top 10 list for the richest sports owners. Uh, interestingly enough, last year's number two was Cleveland Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert. He dropped from number two to number six, mainly due to the fact that he has his stock in Rocket Mortgage, which is he's a founder of, took a huge hit in valuation, dropping 44%, which all took away about half of his intake, as revenue intake. Jerry Jones sits at number seven at $16 billion. His estimated worth, however, has been the biggest increase due to the fact of his over the last year he's earned about 76% uh, in value. Who else? Who else? Of course, we know Jerry Jones' money comes from oils and real estate in the Dallas area, as well as oil and real estate, as well as the building of the Cowboys. The Cowboys, however, are the top most valued franchise in the world at an estimated value of $8 billion. So the Cowboys get the money, but Jerry Jones is number seven on this list. Um, number, of course, rounding out the list is Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper. He comes in at number three. Number actually, let me give you the numbers, which actually is pretty. So, like I said, starting out the like I said, Steve Ballmer, Los Angeles Clippers is number one. Microsoft was his estimated $83 billion, down 14 cents from last year. However, due to that $13 billion decrease in valuation. Number two, Rob Walton, the Detroit Broncos owners. Money comes from Walmart, as we stated, $56.7 billion, down 16% from last year. Uh, David Tepper, owner of the Carolina Panthers, comes in at three. His wealth comes from hedge funds. At number four, Memphis Grizzly owner Robert Pera, a wireless network or a tech guy. His estimated worth is 7.6 billion. He's down 7% from last year. Steve Cohen, owner of the New York Mets, hedge fund owner, 17.5 billion. At number six, Daniel Gilbert, owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Quicken Loans. I'm sorry, not Rocket. Quicken Loans. He's at 17.3 billion, 44% down from last year. Jerry Jones, Cowboys owner, 16 billion, up 76% from last year. Stanley Kroenke, Los Angeles Rams owner, Denver Nuggets, Colorado Avalanche, just a plethora of teams. Kroenke does a lot. So his wealth, of course, comes from sports and real estate. He's up 20% at $12.9 billion. Stephen Ross, the Miami Dolphins owner, he has his unclaimed fame is real estate. He's up 30 uh 40% from last year, 11.6 billion estimation. And to round out the top 10, we have Shaid Khan, owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Auto parts is his claim to fame when it comes to his wealth. He's up 32% at 11.2 billion in valuation. Of course, if you want to catch or read the whole list, the 400 or even the 400 or even just the top 50 in from the sports, because sports makes up 50 of the 400 list. Be sure to of course, go over to the Forbes.com to take a look at that list. Interesting reads. So, getting the money, uh, sports organizations. I ask y'all if y'all were, if you were looking, if you could own. I didn't get a chance to look at that deep in the list, Anthony. I will have to look and see that. Maybe answer that question tomorrow. But I was about to ask if y'all were looking at what franchise would you want to own, or what industry? NFL, MLB. What are you? What would be your franchise or your sport of choice if you were to go into owning a franchise and had the ability to do that? What would be your sport of choice? Um, Let me see. Continue on. So, New York basketball, NBA coach, New York basketball, which the Yankees, Cornelius. So baseball, New York baseball. Coach, would you be looking to move into Vegas, or would you have your sight set on something else? Snick said the Yankees. Interesting enough, out of the top 20 for your gentleman saying baseball, out of Vegas all day. I got you, coach. Out of the top 20, in there's only two baseball franchises that are in the top 20. One of them being the New York Mets owner, Steve Cohen, at number five. Applewhite soccer. Everyone has a will have their reasons. Soccer. Some of the owners in which we discussed and talked about have own football clubs as well. So evidently there's something in soccer, and probably not the If I was to go off the list, I don't know where a sole soccer owner would lie at, but it's there are some that have own soccer teams, as well as there's a couple of they're not majority owners, but there's a couple of players and stuff who invested and put money in the soccer teams and are investors and are some owners. So um, revenue, continue revenues. Um, heck, even I have stock in the Atlanta Falcons. I mean Atlanta Braves. It's a very small digit of a stock. It's not even a blip, but I get dividends. Um, Interesting, interesting. So I have a couple of duels here. We always tend to talk about or give angst and speak about the big three, since you know what I'm saying they have started the big three movement. But let's go back to the duels. I have a couple of duels here that I'm going to bring up, and I like to have y'all intake on it, or if they do you think this is going to be an interesting duel, or do you think it's going to fall by the wayside? I want to know, y'all. So first duel up. First duel up. Shout out to Cornelius Cole. This duel's for you. Houston Rockets, Jabari Smith and Jalen Green. Will that or will that not be an interesting duel in the NBA this year? Another duel. As I run through the duels, of course, y'all comment and leave your comments, and we'll get to them. Damian Lillard and Jeremy Grant. Will this or will this not be an interesting duel in Portland? Will it be worth talking about? Duel number three, of course, we've seen them getting in a little bit over the course of the off season, playing in a couple of summer leagues together. Trey Young and DeJounte Murray for the Atlanta Hawks. Um, Duel number four, the most newest one that we've had um, since the trade, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland in Cleveland. The first one that popped off at the beginning of the season, duel number five, Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert out in Minnesota. And lastly, the duel in Detroit, the youngest of the bunch, Kay Cunningham and Jaden Ivey in Detroit. Those are the duels. What y'all think is going to be the most interesting? Richard Applewhite, the Atlanta duel, interesting. Coach Rod, anything involving Dame is a no go on the Dame tip. Uh, Portland not interesting, so of course it's their agreements there. Houston, yes, they have to move some young guys to make them the face. Coaches loving Cat. Rockets will be interesting. So of course, like y'all, I think everyone is across the board is thinking the same thing. I mean, although I have an affinity of Dame, I like Dame's game, but I don't think for by no ways do I think that Dame and Jeremy Grant is going to be something in which we're going to be talking about or interested in. Like I see Applewhite's comment in reference to Cleveland duo not being interesting. Uh, the team is oriented. I do agree. I think it's just from Darius Garland and his ascension. Like he went from like not even being a person to of any notoriety, being traded and basically taking off. So that is interesting. Even for me, I'm a little iffy on Donovan Mitchell. I think he had the same type of trajectory in state. Of course, he wasn't traded, but he was when he got picked up, and then he started blowing up in Utah. But I think that I can't agree with you, Applewhite. I think that Cleveland is going to be more of those one of those teams that is going to be a whole team effort, and it's not going to really be based upon the one or two one of those two guys. It's going to be a whole team standpoint. From you got a Roku, you got the Mobley brothers, Allen. Like it's a whole vibe. To still have Kevin Love there is going to be a whole different type of generation of there. Um, it's a jobber team. Minnesota stinks. I just think it's too much. I think the Twin Towers era is kind of like gone when you don't have a agile. If you don't have agile bigs, so although I think Minnesota is going to be a formidable squad, I don't know. I don't know if they're. I mean, of course, they'll Gobert and Cat aren't just a be all do all. They still have um, Anthony. They still have D'Angelo. Um, and a host of other players. Lofton Jr. is there, so they got actually they have a pretty pretty good front court when you think about it. I mean backcourt. So I don't know. I'm not completely lost on Minnesota. I just don't definitely. I don't think the cat is not the most interesting out of the six. I think they would be like number 4 or 5 for me. But going into some of the things in which we was talking about, the Rockets, I think is going to be an interesting one. I still have to take a little look at the Detroit one. K had and Ivy. I haven't really paid attention to Ivy's game. I know a lot of people, especially even some of y'all, was huge. It was talking had a lot of praise in reference to Ivy. I just haven't watched him play yet. And, of course, he had an injury uh, in which shorted his summer league debut. So always hyped in at this point. Who else was it that? Oh, Atlanta. Of course, the Atlanta is one of those things. Trey Young. I don't know how they're gonna mesh. I know they went in on summer league, but we talk about 82 game season. I don't know how they're gonna end up meshing at some point. It all looks good. It's all fun. It's all fun and games until y'all get to playing together, and you're wondering. And Murray is starting to take your shine, or Trey is is throwing shots up unnecessarily, trying to be show that he's the go to on the team. So I'm not sure how the Atlanta thing is going to work out. So I think honestly, it may be the most interesting to me is probably going to be the Rockets with the Jalen, and that's a whole nother day. Like we discussed about it earlier, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, how the Rockets, in my opinion, are. I mean, of course, it's not my opinion. It's just what's facts. Is they're very young, extremely young, and being that young, uh, okay, I could go with that comparison, Coach. I can see where you're going with it. But I mean, but even with that, was that a good thing, or did it? I mean, in my opinion, even with that comparison, it didn't amount to anything except for okay, appearance in the playoffs. One time they pushed it to the Western Conference, and they did that, the Western Conference Finals, and they did that without uh just Murray. So does this push them over to Coach Wayne? That's your man, Coach. That's your assistant, y'all. I mean, no, y'all assistants to Parker. Yeah, okay, okay. I got you, Coach. That's not a cool thing. Yeah, it doesn't come out. It doesn't end well, and that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know how effective that'll be in say with the Atlanta duel. But I think just like who said it before, just like what Applewhite was saying earlier in reference to the Cleveland squad being a team that's going to work together, that's going to get it done. I think it's going to be the same thing in Houston. Although I must say, now that I think about it, I really didn't see Jabari Smith play either during the summer league, just as I did in Jaden Ivey. And so I think that's more based upon what we've seen in Jalen Green. They got Kevin Porter Jr. He did his thing. Seguin was all right. Of course, Aaron Gordon is there as the veteran. I think he's the only veteran on their starting five or projected starting five that is under three that has over 2 years in the league or 3 years in the league. So considerably, especially when you look at their starting five potentially or their rotation, considerably young squad. Um, I asked you guys in the NBA, is it can talented a talented youthful team outplay an experienced team? Hold on. Hunter, the statement have be questioning your basketball. What's your top 5 teams? So, Coach Uriah asked, who's your top 5 teams in the West? top 5 teams in the West. In no particular order, I'm going with Golden State, Memphis. Uh, I'm going with Golden State, Memphis. As much as I hate to say it, the Clippers, uh, Golden State, Memphis, Clippers, Dallas. I just gave this top 5. Timberwolves, I don't think is not in my top 5. I'm not saying they're not there. I mean, when you look at it, it's only 16 teams. Um, Golden State, Memphis. I think Dallas. No, I'm not going to even put Dallas. I can't even put Dallas in there. I'm not. Ah. Clippers, LA. I will put both Clippers teams in there. I will rock with both Clippers teams. Top 5 in the West. And the Suns, yeah. Thank you, Coach. The Suns is the last one I could think. I was wondering, searching, but even one. Do y'all think? Do y'all have a? Do you believe that in the wake of everything that's going on in Phoenix, is that going to have a lasting effect uh on on their organization, or you think that's going to be a little bit above, in which they're not going to be worried about that? Like, I think those things matter. So, Coach, you say Minnesota. I say the Lakers. I'm looking at Minnesota. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what Minnesota has in Minnesota. So why do you think top 5, Coach, for Minnesota? How do they get a nod into your top 5? Is it because of Goldberg? Ooh, you know what, Anthony? That is a good point. I think it's still some stuff to be seen. Like, you're just getting Michael Porter Jr., who actually isn't back necessarily, and you're just getting Jamal Murray back, in which he hasn't played in 2 years. He hasn't played since playing in Orlando. Clippers, Warriors, Grizzlies, Nuggets, and Mavericks. I just can't do it with the Nuggets yet. I just can't do it with the Nuggets yet. Um, And then Dallas is even, like I said, bringing up the rear. But Dallas has the same things. But one thing Dallas does have is Luca, and he has shown to be formidable by himself. Now you have Christian Wood. You add JaVale McGee, who has been an underrated player in these late years. Uh, Still have Spencer Dinwiddie, a coach answering the question. Says Rudy answers the questions in the interior defense, and Anthony is the sleeper. Warriors, Suns, Clippers, and Dallas, sleeper, Denver, or New Orleans. You know what? I stand corrected. New Orleans is who I was searching for. I think New Orleans is going to be formidable. I will put New Orleans over the Lakers at this point, the and Minnesota. I think New Orleans is going to be one of those teams. Warriors, Clippers, Mavs, Grizzlies, Suns, Denver, Lakers. Uh, Correction, yeah, Denver. I could get that. I could get that. I would actually, like I said, Coach, I would put New Orleans over. I would put New Orleans over Minnesota in that case. Yeah. And then the Lakers is like old money, like being in the city and it's old money. So I think the Lakers is old money, but you need a little more. But I think that would be my 5. Definitely Phoenix. No particular order, like I said. Phoenix, Grizzlies, Golden State, the Clippers and the Pelicans. Coach Wayne, Coach Uriah. So you saying you can't win with LeBron? That cause he dominates the ball. Uriah Hunter. Just say you don't like Luka, but it makes sense. Somebody block Coach. New Orleans' best player has been on 5 minute restriction. If you consider 3-5 record a winning record, if you consider 3-5 record winning. Uh, So I mean, like you said, at this point, it's all on paper. We're only talking about stuff that's on paper. Of course, going forth is going to make a complete difference when they start playing. People getting punched in the mouth. Just let's say the Lakers come out and dominate the I mean, not the Celtics. The Lakers come out and dominate the Clippers and the Golden State Warriors in their first two games. That's not going to necessarily say that they are the dominant team and that you're saying it's going to put them off to a 2-0 record, which they haven't started in the previous seasons. The Clippers have owned them. So, but it starts to give just like no different from this week. I think it's going to take the whole month of October, maybe going into November, before we can really formulate and be like, okay, this team or these teams are a real deal. Just like we, from my ideation is that it's going to take 6 weeks. We'll be in 6 weeks, week 6 in the NFL before we can really pinpoint and be like, okay, yeah, these teams are, saying are the dominant ones, or these are the this is what we're looking at when it comes to these squads. Already we have a couple of teams that are off and running. No, we're not taking bets when AD's going down. Stop it, Anthony. I believe that the Lakers are gonna have some. They're not gonna be. I just believe that the Lakers aren't gonna be the same team they were last year. Now that's saying something. I don't want to say if it's uh, good, bad, or different. I just believe they're not going to be the better team. They're not going to be who they were last year. I expect them to be better. Being worse than what they was last year is an understatement, but I wouldn't see that coming. I'm very sure if there's a Rob Pelinka or a Jenny Bus is going to break the glass. If they start to go down that route, I see them as more than a playing team this season. That backcourt is Patrick Beverly and Westbrook. This may already be the most dysfunctional team in the league. So I think the emphasis is being put on those players, but those summer league players show pretty well. Scottie Pippen Jr., Cole Swider, um, I can't think of the other guy. It's like they showed up. So I think there's some promise in those ones that are probably on two ways or partial contracts. Of course, some of them they're currently at 19 or 20. So somebody got to go. But I think they're going to keep those top players. Maybe we want to see some of the other players wave, the Tony Browns or somebody like that. Like I think the youth that they had was formidable. I would definitely keep Swider and Pippen Jr. In the fold, which I think they're two-way players. But again, Anthony, they're going to be better than a playing team. Oh wow, coach! You know what? I can't wait till after the 82 game season, so that way these comments could be proven to be incorrect. Not just as a Laker fan, I think they are better than the 82 a playing team. So I ask you this, Cornelius. How did Kobe go out? What's your depiction of your perception of how Kobe went out? He did say that, coach. I got you. He did say that. But I think that's at a minimum. I think that's at a minimum. He needs to be present. He missed 42 games last year. He missed 42. LeBron missed 26. That's 1 and 2 of what is supposed to be your top players in your on your team. 42 and 26. And let's keep in mind that the last couple of games in which LeBron missed cost him the scoring title, but we wasn't even in contention for anything. So at this point, and he was dealing with a few injuries or minor injuries, it was no reason for him to continue to play. So he powered it down. So I think true enough, AD is a linchpin in all this. Well, actually, he's not the linchpin, but he did have a bigger part. Him and Westbrook was the biggest parts, in my opinion. LeBron missed 26 games and averaged over 30 points and was in contention for the scoring title. You play for the Lakers. If you say anything other than win a championship, I'm questioning your mindset. It's okay, coach. Players come and play for even Fort Jackson, military basketball, um, or Fort Polk, or Phantom Warrior, or Central Texas military basketball. In coming to those organizations, the expectation is get the W's, right? Get the wins. It may not be your expectation. I know that's not what you push. But instead is you're building a brand and you're building a name across the military basketball echelons. When they pull that, when a player that's in the league or who has played comes and they're within distance to even play for CTX MB or Fort Jackson MB, they have a certain they expect to come and win. They're not expected to come in and do anything else, correct? So that's the same thing in which LA. That's what you have built. That's the that's what you have built. So that's what LA has built, an organization that wins championships. I'm sure in your since you've been there at Fort Hood, that's a culture in which you're building, and that's a culture that's going to be there up and after you leave, at least for a good time. Where it's like okay, or it's always going to be in the shadow or the mystique that Central Texas military basketball, Fountain Warrior military basketball, Fort Hood military basketball. I got you, coach. I'll pick up what you put down. Got you, coach. I got it. AD and Westbrook are the biggest part, but they still in the team. So what really changed? Getting Patrick as drama queen. It's the mindset. The coach changed. Because remember, the ideal that what was set up and being said is that Vogel was not utilizing Pat Westbrook correctly, or there was some tension in the utilization of Westbrook under Vogel. Now you have Ham. So hopefully that's going to change the mistake. That's the ideal in which it's going to change. Maybe, maybe not. It remains to be seen. But it's a new slate, and with that new slate, we have to see what's going to happen. Old players, new slate. Roger that, coach. I understand what you're saying. I know this, coach. I got you. So, but of course, like I said, season 18. I think 18 days away. Season starts October 18th with the Lakers in Golden State to witness the Golden State getting their rings. So that's going to be a big event, and occasion. And then it kicks off. LA comes back and plays the Clippers on the 20th. I can't wait. I'm getting kind of excited for basketball. You know what, Coach? I agree with that statement to a degree, and the only degree is what is it bringing back? Because yeah, we can move off AD, and in the moment currently, he could probably go somewhere else and maybe get a couple of things. Maybe the only team that would be willing to take him would be um, his hometown in Chicago to go send him to Chicago. But what could we bring back for AD, even like you said, while his stock is still high? Or do we sit up and allow him to continue to play and just, saying, rebuild off of you once we lose LeBron? Because now at this point, LeBron, Russ, and AD, LeBron, AD, and Russ all are well, no, because Russ is actually on his last year right now. Yeah, I mean, true that. You go home and, put on, do what Candace Parker did. As much as I hate to say, because that would basically remove a year from us getting that championship, but maybe go back and do what Candace Parker did. Do what LeBron, not LeBron, what D Wade tried to do. Go home and win. Although it didn't work for other players that tried to do it, but go home and get a W. Win one for the city as a because of course Michael Jordan did it, but that's not where he's from. Where is he from? Is Michael Jordan from Illinois? Any case, I don't think he is. He's from North Carolina. But in case, I'm here for it. NBA season starts soon. No, I think he wouldn't be the face. He would just be it's a tandem. They would bring in someone else to tag team that with him, in my opinion. Um, get ready to move into a little conversation, NFL conversation. Uh, you have a couple of things, of course, that's going on. First and foremost, as y'all heard, I gotta get with Ron to get his pick for the Thursday night game. But yes, as we heard, San Diego. Correction, I keep saying San Diego. The Los Angeles Chargers. I'm sorry, excuse me. The Los Angeles Chargers are basically are facing a little some discrepancies in their defense. As you know, the Los Angeles Chargers came in with probably one of the top rated defenses. Again, on paper, it always comes out to be on paper. Um, always comes out to be in reference to on paper. The Chargers are now, of course, with JC. A correction with Bosa, Mac, a formidable Derwin James, and all of them. It was looking very, 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 very promising until, of course, that bug starts to bite. Of course, that biting being that the injury bug. Now they're looking at a plethora of injuries. Of course, they've already lost. They're losing their tackle Rashawn Slater for the whole season. Now he's going to be out with a torn bicep, replacing him with a 6-year tackle in Sailor. Additionally, now it has been stated that their defensive end rusher Joey Bosa to go on the IRR and come back later in the season, as he is due to get surgery to repair his, I think it's the left groin, as he tore it in his game this past week. He's going to be replaced by Chris Ruff, second-year player second-year player, and Kyle Van Noy, the veteran, who are scheduled to try to pick up the slack. I don't know. It ain't an LA bug. That's not what we're going to do here, Anthony. Talk about it's an LA bug. But of course, the injury bug, like you said, is going around. It's very prevalent, as now it starts to put a damper on things, like people who had expected great things to happen, especially once you got seen that the defense is being put together and constructed. You got to think the Keenan Allen and Mike Williams connection isn't working. Even the Herbert connection isn't working either. Excuse me, as he's injured as well, or he tried to play last week, in which he probably shouldn't have played. I think he's due to play this week, however, after a little more rest. But It's going around, and it's going to. I wonder, is it going to affect the Chargers any worse? Um, of course, as we know, uh, Hurricane Ian sweeping through uh, Florida as it was due to affect the Tampa game. Uh, did y'all dodge a bullet, Coach? So I think in Las Vegas, as I'll get back to the Tampa thing in a second. I think in Las Vegas, what happened was he built, or what correction, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, how the Raiders basically he built that mystique, if that's what you want to call it, to where he was a dominant player, the first player to be named All Pro defensive end and linebacker all in one. You know what I'm saying? Those are the type of things in which we see only the next player. We didn't see that till later on, in which we're now seeing and possibly in Micah Parsons. Um, but you had that in Khalil Mack. He gets to Chicago, a couple of injuries. Maybe not utilize that now. You know what? Actually, this is the bigger question, Coach. Coach Ryan, please answer it. You being a Chicago fan, what is the problem in Chicago in general? Is Justin Fields trash or is it Chicago? We can't say coach because they've moved on. They have a different coach. So what is the issue in Chicago? What is the problem? Why is it that this is so dismal? Uh, is it players? I mean, Mitchell Trubisky, um, Justin Fields. Is that just bad picking? Is it the players? Like, what is really going on in Chicago? I had that thought the other day, and it's a good thing that I'm sitting up here looking at your name, but Chicago fan. If Coach Paris was out there listening, I would ask him too. What is the issue in Chicago? Why can't they get right? They said they taking. So I just wonder, like, what is really going on? Justin Fields over the last couple of games, less than 400 yards passing in 2 games, and that's me giving him some yards. Like I think he got 107 last game. He had 70 something the game before that. Like, what is really going on? Oh, okay. Y'all 1-2. Or correction, 2-1. I think it is 2-1. Y'all ain't been right since y'all let Matt Forte go. I used to love Matt Forte. But Khalil, like I said, Camille Mack still a rookie and he's another 2 years before he catches up. That's an interesting concept for Applewhite. You think he 2 years he so Applewhite, would you say 2 years as a backup or just 2 years as a starter? So 2 games. You know what, Coach? I will say that though, because those teams, one being my 49ers, allowed it to happen, especially when we was up 10-0. 2 more years as a starter. That's like a lot of bumps and bruises, wouldn't y'all say? OJT. What else we got? But yeah, so that part, I get you, Cornelius. Like, and which I think that's just what Coach was just saying. Like, they don't have no skill players. Like, I even know who this running back was that went ham. Uh, David Montgomery. He's out playing David Montgomery. What's his name? Herbert. Another Herbert. And to think, Roquan Smith went out. They wouldn't let him go. Roquan Smith is a bright spot for the Bears right now. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going on in Chicago. I just haven't thought about that. I was like, is it like after I looked at the stat line from Justin Fields last week? I was like, is this? it can't be a player thing because they just got a brand new coach. Um, or is it a talent thing? Like, do they have the wrong people scouting? Like, what is going on? Uh, but I'm very sure it happens to other teams. It's just right now the Chicago Bears are the most glaring in how they go now. Okay, from a Chicagoan, a Bears fan, puts a heavy emphasis on defense when they need to add more skilled players and build that offensive line. And it seeming like y'all miss is the who's that? Allen Robinson seems like he's not doing too well in Los Angeles, so he's starting to look like okay, he is what we thought what he was coming from Chicago. But I wonder who they would sign. Do we get a situation where uh do we have a situation where Lamar Jackson ends up in Chicago because they can pay him? Of course not. Maybe I wouldn't go there. Like just for a reason which Coach Uriah is talking about. They're not. They don't have anybody there. There's no skill players. Do we have a situation where a whole bunch of skill players get there? Odell Beckham's. Nah, Lamar's not going there. Specifically for the reason. I mean, but then again, Lamar is he's not playing with much in Baltimore. It's just, I mean, we could probably go on and on this, but you know, what I'm saying that's just all I want to ask. I appreciate Coach Uriah being transparent and answering the question. So, like I said, as we know, Hurricane Ian sweeping through the southeast portion of the United States, southwest portion of Florida, moving around. Um, so with that, of course, that caused the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to have to go and practice in Miami uh, for this week, and potentially, um, as we know, they have the Thursday night game against the Kansas City Chiefs, in which is looking like they're going to possibly have to. They have a contingent plan in place, and where if the Chiefs, if there's too much damage or they can't play in Tampa, they will move the game to Minnesota due to and USA Bank Field Stadium due to the fact of the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings will be playing this week in London, England. So it kind of worked out, I guess, if you say. Of course, we hope all those are safe in or around the Tampa and South Florida as the hurricane sweeps through Orlando. As you know, it's only an hour from there, um, which affects other organizations as well. Um, we wish those families had prayers and safe to those people who I see. There's an estimated 2 million people currently without any power. Being a person that's went through a hurricane or two, um, definitely one of those things in which we gotta watch out. Sometimes it's big other sports is all those sports could help, saying take mind off things, but definitely it's one of those situations to where some things are bigger in life. So saying prayers and everything to those families in those areas affected by Hurricane Ian. Yeah, yeah. I've been in two. I went through two in 60 days here in Fort Polk. I mean, um, let's talk about the tales of two cities. Two cities. These two cities being, let's say, the tale of two cities and one player. These two cities be Green Bay and Las Vegas. The player, Devontae Adams. There was so much talked about and brought up when it was determined that Devontae Adams was going to be signed and link up with his old buddy, old pal, old friend in Derek Carr, right? But yet it started out, you know what I'm saying? It started out pretty good when you take in consideration that in their first game, 17 targets, uh, 10 catches for 141 yards and a touchdown, right? That was the first game with the Raiders. Although I think they end up, although they lost that game. They lost the game, but still it was 10 for 141 off of 17 targets for that and a touchdown. So you're thinking, okay, you know what I'm saying? They got something going on. You come back the next game, not as much. The third game, not as much. Even to the aspect of between the second and the third game, he has 17 looks. 17 looks. Same as the first game. But only 7 catches and 48 yards receiving. And they lost to both the Cardinals and the Titans. Now they got to battle with the Denver Broncos. So when spoken with, Devontae Adams came on and he stated that it's just a situation where um, they have to get acclimated, I guess you could say. Basically, he stated that the inconsistency comes from him and Carr having to have their adjustment period and get to know one another. Do you all agree with that? Is that what we're seeing in Devontae Adams and Carr compared to what we see in the last with Aaron Rodgers uh, and Devontae? I didn't get a chance to look and see what those stats was when they first started. If you take into consideration the first couple of games, or even year, what it took for Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams to connect to become the dominant force in which they became. But at this point, are you all agreeing with the fact of Aaron that Derek Carr and Devontae Adams still need more time to mesh together? Be a great combo just early in the season. Okay, so that means Applewhite, you agree with the fact that they're just trying to uh, get their foot in and get to know one another, which is it's fine. Uh, I believe that's needed, or for the most part. Again, I say what I say, but I still reserve like really to dive in and get into it after week 6, like what Anthony Price was getting to a month and a half. We already went through the first month, so about 2 weeks. So by November we should be dialed in, and this is what it should be. Is what it should be. Ron, hey Ron, I need your pick. Who your pick for Thursday? A matter of fact, I'll wait till we get there. We get there, I get it. But yeah, so you know, what I'm saying Ron's like, nah, we don't want to hear that. All that talk, all that rah rah. You know, what I'm saying that was going on. We don't want to hear that. Of course, Coach Ryan hear a lot of excuses with the Raiders. That's what the offseason, the preseason is for. Correct, build chemistry as a good Adams. It looks like problem is clearly Carr. Okay, Snook, that's just what Coach was saying. He's not that dude. Devontae Adams is a superstar player, and I'm not worried about all that combo. Uh, Cowboy Nation and Carr is not that dude. Snook says. Uh, and if that's a good point you bring up. What's good, Zach? What's going on? Frack. Spread the field. Of course, it's going to be a little hard now. Of course, I don't know if Hunter Renfrow is back. He was out last game with a concussion. Maybe that contributed to what happened last week. They was without that player. Um, uh, but the preseason, right? Applewhite, good point you bring up. Is that starting to show? If we starting to get to a situation to where the preseason is definitely needed, that's coaching problem, not car problem. Anthony says it's a coaching problem, not a car problem. Are we getting to that point? So before we get to that, matter of fact, I'll leave this up, Anthony. But to get to back to what Applewhite was saying, that the players they can play that much. It was a preseason. Coach even bring it up. That's what the preseason for. in state is that what's making the difference, or is it just comes out clear to be what Cornelius is stating? They're not. Carr is not that dude. He got a bag to stay there to show to for his value. Is it that he's just not that person and he's pulled the eyes over everybody? And that's a good question. When you look at you got greatness, like how long did it take Moss and Brady? They only had what 1 or 2 seasons together, or was it in their first season that they went for the most touchdowns in the NFL in a single season? Like we it's understandable that we're not sit up and saying that they're not or whatever case like that. Of course, this is content and it's creation of the content and a conversation, but. Uh, But even see, like Anthony, isn't that what the mold in which Derek of Devontae is? He's a go getter. Devontae even says and talks about how saying forgetting saying you do your training and you do what you got to do. So now to kind of reverse course and state that saying even though it does take we understand chemistry has to be built, but like Coach said, like Applewhite said, chemistry is built in those practices, the preseason for the most part, to where you're playing against, even as against lesser talent, that's still somebody with that's job is to ensure that you don't make a catch on them, you don't score on them, or anything of that nature. It's one thing when you're in practice and doing it. When you get into those games and those scrimmages, in which preseason is just a huge scrimmage that's televised against the opposition, because you have the scrimmages and practice against that same team. But when the lights come on, it becomes that. So even with that being said, aren't those difference makers? I would think that Derek Carr is probably a little better than Mayfield, but still, it has been. I always feel like there was so much being talked about with Derek Carr. Everyone was saying how good Derek Carr is, how he makes a difference. I didn't understand it. For the life of me, I even had Spotlight with Darren Hopkins come on to speak this case because that's the squad, and I still left away with not feeling warm and fuzzy in reference to Derek Carr. And is this what we're looking at right now? Is he not that dude? Just like Cornelius said, he's not that dude, and he's been standing on the desk saying he's not that dude. Is this a glorified game manager? What Ron says. White says the expectations are higher, and you know what? That's a good point, Ron. We haven't seen like Derek Carr 10-6, Derek Carr, and they was 10-6, but he went out early when he was probably looking at. Whew, he was on fire. Basically, he was cooking. Uh, it's like he's fading back into the bushes, and he's coming. He's going from Derek Carr and coming back David. I just don't know what it is. I'm still trying to see what it was. What was the big hoopla in reference to Derek Carr? And maybe I just got to deal with Snook. I mean, with Cornelius. His report. He repeats again. Carr is not that dude, and maybe that's just what it is. No difference to Jimmy. Is just not that dude. Is Derek Carr better than Jimmy Garoppolo? What could have been convention? Jimmy G and Carr. I don't know. I think Carr might be better than Jimmy. As sit here and look at a picture of Jimmy Garoppolo, but yeah, so maybe Carr is better than Jimmy. I'll be open to a trade, Jimmy for Carr. Let's make that happen. So I mean, you think really, Ron? You think Jimmy has a slight edge? Oh, big games because he's been in those moments. All right, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Um, but yeah, I just have to bring that up. I wonder like what is going on in Chicago. I mean, not Chicago. What's going on in Las Vegas? Because what we thought we was going to get in the NFC East, AFC East, is not what we're getting. San Diego's falling off 1-2. The Raiders 0-3. Kansas City 2-1. Uh, Denver 2-1. I thought we was going to be it was going to be an all out brawl and knocking and all that type of stuff, and we're 0-3, 1-2, 2-1, 2-1 with the Kansas City Chiefs leading, and that was one thing that was stated. I think Ron and Bishop both stated that Kansas City they expected to win the division. Right now, they're ahead in the division. Uh, so yeah. Oh yeah, I mess with Ryan Cornelius. I mess with Ryan. Ryan, I think is. I mean, I wouldn't mess with Ryan now, but while Ryan was still playing, I would sit up and take Ryan and be like, "Hey, he's good." What's good, Eric? Good. How you doing, bro? What's going on? Asa Duval. Duval. So yeah, okay. So yeah, that's what I just want to bring up. So corporate of other things. Guess who is back, ready to take the helm? A couple of people are back. Actually, one actually never really left, but we thought he was going to be sat down this week, um, which he isn't. Uh, Zach Taylor back. Oh, correction. Zach Wilson is back as he's going to be the starter versus the Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, as he comes back to take the helm for the New York Jets this week. You know, all we know he was out. He I think was injured in the second or third or the last game of this preseason and was expected to be back in 3 or 4 weeks. So they took him. They went ahead. They thought he was going to come back and continue to play. He rested. Now he's back for a game in this fourth game, ready to take the helm for his New York Jets. They are currently 1-2. They weathered a little bit of the storm with Joey Flacco as the starter. Um, trying to be funny. I think Derek Carr would thrive in that system, Cornelius. That's why I said I wouldn't be too up against Derek Carr coming to San Fran. But of course he can't because Trey Lance's team. But yeah, so like you said, Zach is back. Ron's supposed to throw a hole in the field. We the fans are not realizing that the teams will not be into full football mode until probably week 8. That's when it really starts. I give week 6. I said it week 6. Um, Additionally, another player, like I said, a player is back who initially wasn't expected to start, but he is. Jameis Winston will be starting for the New Orleans Saints as he was out of practice yesterday. They talked about it. He was resting yesterday, in which Andy Dalton took the snaps, the starter snaps, and Taysom Hill was the backup. Of course, with Jameis Winston back in the fray, he's expecting to start. Andy Dalton would go back to the backup, and I guess Taysom Hill will be the third string if needed. As we know, Taysom Hill has made a transition from backup quarterback to backup tight end. That's a loss for the Saints. The game he starts. Ah, I'm not gonna say what yet because of course he got tomorrow to talk about that. But um, and I know we got Eric here. I'm very sure Eric believes that's a win. I don't even have to even ask that question. But um, he's back. I know after last week's performance, I had to, as far as like from a fantasy standpoint, from a fantasy standpoint, I had to get rid of Jameis in one of my things. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't got Marcus Mariota. Couldn't do it. I was like, I'm not playing with this guy no more. But of course, like I said, we have them back. So I have a couple of questions. You know what I'm saying? Y'all feel free to chime in on these questions. Um, which I might. So my first question is, what predictions have y'all made this year or preseason? What predictions have y'all made that you will reverse course on right at this point? What predictions have you made that you reverse course on at this point? I think my prediction that I made that I reverse course on at this point is that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a bad season. That's one of the predictions I think I made. Now, because I realize, even that for Tom Brady, I would even say that as well. Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I think me saying that they're going to have a bad season was a bad prediction. However, my correction would be that they're not going to have a season compared to what they've had previously. So I know I said bad season. I can't say that them having not having the statistical years in which they've had in the past. Because just remember, Aaron Rodgers just won MVP. Tom Brady was a very close second. So with that in mind, I think they're going to have a lesser of a season than what they had last year, which is going to actually put them, um, which is not going to give them any accolades or anything like that. Of course, we're going to talk about it because of who they are, but that's what I think is going to happen. Two will not be in the NFL quality, but it's early. Yeah, and then I would even go back. I wouldn't. Please don't tell Bishop, but I would even go and say I would reverse course of saying that the Eagles aren't going to be any good. I would even reverse course on that. So yeah, so yes, we did all. That's correct, Ron. We always had high hopes for New Orleans, and it's still easy. It's still early. So maybe so, Eric. But I just right now they're they're doing pretty well, pretty well. But again, like I said, I still reserve at the 6 week mark is where I was like, I think I will solidify like this is what it is, and this isn't what it is. Okay, Ron, I agree with that, Eric. I think all of us had a different outlook for the Raiders, which we was just talking about before you fell in. Uh, yeah, it was definitely one of those. Uh, I won't say that. I'm not sold on Rush, and and I don't think Dak is not good. It's just, I mean, consistency. Consistency. It definitely takes consistency, and that's what we haven't seen in Cowboys when it comes to Dak. Is the consistency. You see spurts, you see what looks good. You want to dial in on that, and then just as you start to commit to it, then it's like, he's going again. Like, really, bro? And now they're trying to bring him back, and then you have Cooper Rush that is pushing the line for him. Now is like, now do we have a controversy in Dallas to the Cowboys fans? Is there a controversy in Dallas? Cooper Rush, Cornelius, Richard, Applewhite, uh, Rush or Dak? Rush or Dak? To my Cowboys fans, Rush or Dax? Where we at with it? Stop part of cutting deep. No, they're not gonna do that. Cut Dak. Wow, Cornelius, are you serious? Oh, you saying cut Dak? Okay, you asking the question. Yeah. I think he's trolling. I think he's trolling. I don't think Anthony Price really means to cut Dak. Dak is our starting quarterback. All right, I got you, Rich. Evidently, Cornelius agrees. But if Coop keeps winning these games, where do we go from there? If Cooper Rush, if Dak comes back, and we talk about week 6 as a point, so between week 6 and week 8, if Dallas is 6, if Dallas is 6-2 or 7-1 or something like that, when Dak comes back, what are you doing? Are you putting Dak back in, or are you going to continue to rock with Cooper to Cornelius and Applewhite? Dak is going back in. Okay. All right, Rich. I got you, bro. Not mad at you sticking with your quarterback. Even with the business aspect of it, Eric, I think, but the wins are a business too. And yes, you can put Dak back in, but I think there's a narrative where you can continue to say we're rehabbing, making sure Dak is completely good. We'll make sure we're rolling on. We don't want to mess things up. But I get what you're saying. Because that was even the case. Think about it in San Francisco when before Colin Kaepernick got started, uh, they put in Alex Smith. Basically, was only out 2 games, and they was like, "We sticking with Colin." Okay, I got you, Cornelius. I got you, CC. All right, I feel you. I feel y'all. So next question. Uh, how would y'all rank the sophomore class at this point? The sophomore class is Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Davis Mills, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones. Who is 1 through 6, 6 through 1, however you want to do it? How would you guys rank the top? I mean, the sophomore class from last year at this point. I think for me, Justin Fields is 6. Uh, Trey Lance is 5. 4 would be Zach Wilson. 3 would be Davis Mills. 2 Mac Jones. No, 2 Mac Jones. No, 2 would be Trevor Lawrence. Number 1 would be Mac Jones for me. So it'd be Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Davis Mills, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, uh, and then of course last Justin Fields at this point. Yes. What had what has Fields done as a starter? What has Fields done as a starter? That's what I look at, Ron. Like, what has Fields? Of course, yes, he started. He's been a starter since the onset, but what has he done? Like, what he's done as a starter amounts to what Trey Lance has done in 3 games, where he set up. He played 3 games and he started 1. What's your list, Ron? Where do you rank them? What's your list, Ron? Where are you putting Fields or Trey? Presumably, Trey is your number 1. I mean, your number 6. Mm, correct. True that. I completely agree with you, Ron. Only Mac has done anything. That's what you trying to do, Ron. You trying to see Ron is stirring the pot, man. I see you trying to stir. Uh, but yes, I agree. Mac is only the only one who's really been done something. Because like I was just saying, I believe and I think that that Trey Lance and Justin Fields has done about the same amount of stuff, and Justin Fields has been the starter since last year. Even though he has not played all 16, he didn't play all 17 games, but he's been the starter. They've done about the same amount of stuff when in the perspective. Like, of course, he's statistically ahead of him because he's played in those games or a case like that. But they got the same. It's the same. Any of them on any given Sunday. I would save these other questions for tomorrow. But however, what will Fields look like on he might be a problem. Like I think honestly, you know what? That's a good question, Rob. I was about to say I think honestly, had given the opportunity, had Fields got because I was thinking that they was going to select Trey Lance. I actually thought it was between. Correction. I actually thought that it was looking at between Justin Fields and Mac Jones. I think Justin Fields might have been a better fit in San Francisco. Mac Jones, although he was better, I don't think he would have been suited for the San Francisco offense. So I think Fields might be better if he was in San Francisco. I mean, or he might have been good in San Francisco. It would be the same thing I think believe like Applewhite saying like he needs some growth, but I think he would have been good in San Francisco. Fields on any other team, he was shy. So of course, saying a couple of other things before we get up out of here. I just want to give some love and shout out to the this month's players of the month. Of course, the NFL gave the players of the month. Um, Defensive and NFC and AFC offensive, and defensive players of the month. Of course, Devin White for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the NFC Player of the Month. 24 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, and two pass deflections. For the AFC, the Player of the Month, the Miami Dolphins, Melvin Ingram. Imagine that. Wow, really? Really? We're going to get to it in a second. Give me that. I see you, Ron. I hear you, Eric. Hold up. AFC Defensive Player of the Month, Melvin Ingram, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. As he gets Player of the Month uh, uh, accolades. Um, in the AFC Offensive Player of the Month goes to Lamar Jackson's 749 passing yards, 10 touchdowns, 119 passing rating, with 243 rushing yards. And for the for the NFC, Jalen Hurts, 916 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 106.5 for the passing rating, and 3 rushing touchdowns. And that being the offensive and defensive players of the month awarded this month. Uh, I have to look and see what Parsons' number was. Matter of fact, let me hit you up with that real quick before I get to the Thursday night game. I can tell you now what his numbers were. Michael Parsons. So Michael Parsons has four. For the month, Michael Parsons has 4 sacks. Uh, yeah, 4 sacks. Um, 5 tackles. Uh, 9 QB hits. 5 tackles for a loss. Correction, 9, 10, 11, 19. 19 tackles. 5 tackles for a loss. 4 sacks. That's what Michael Parsons' numbers are. So, not this month, Applewhite. So, of course, like uh Hurts has played like you said, like Ron said, the Vikings. Uh who else did they play? I'm not sure he don't get injured, knock on wood. Hold on, let me get to this real quick. So, of course, all right, Ron, I got you. Ron's going with the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, Ron, that's what I want. That's what I wanted to hear. That's exactly what I wanted. So, Ron, as y'all know, as y'all heard earlier when Bishop was on, he decided to rock. He was rocking with Cincinnati. He expects Burrow and Chase to hook up. Ron is doing the same, rocking with Cincinnati. Appreciate you, brother. And I myself am going with the Miami Dolphins for tonight's game, being the Thursday night football. Uh, um, so, of course, with that being, of course, tomorrow, y'all know where we be right here. Uh, Doing this again tomorrow as we'll give our full picks for the week for the Sunday games, and of course y'all know Monday morning we'll give y'all the Monday picks. As you're going off, of course, got some predictions. Uh, sun, that Sunshine or Trevor Lawrence ends up being the Eagles will get their first loss. If that happens, that remove all the undefeated teams. Currently, 2 undefeated teams remain. That's the Miami Dolphins, who face off against the Cincinnati Bengals tonight, and the Philadelphia Eagles, who face off against the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday. Uh, Bengals, everyone, y'all believe in the Bengals, huh? The White Tigers tonight, huh? Okay. Cornelius said the Bengals by 1. That's what I'm talking about. Tomorrow, I want y'all to keep that same energy come tomorrow morning. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? Tomorrow morning, y'all know what it is. That's our show for today. Of course, y'all know what the catch is. Tomorrow, same time, 09 to 1100 hours. Central Standard. We here talking about these upcoming games for tomorrow. I mean for the weekend. College football for the weekend. Recapping the Thursday night football game. Be sure to catch it. I'll be watching on. Matter of fact, I need to make sure I power my iPad so I can take it and watch it from my iPad as I have an intramural flag football game to be watching over tonight. So we look forward to seeing you here. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Eric. I don't know. They the disrespect. That's what it is. The disrespect. But you know what I'm saying, I appreciate y'all rocking with it this morning. Anthony, Richard, Cornelius, uh, Ron, Eric, Zach, all those, you know what I'm saying, Bishop coming on early as he take care of business. Greatly appreciate y'all. Coach Uriah, Coach Wayne, greatly appreciate y'all being on with us this morning. Be sure to check in tomorrow. Information 0900 hours Central Standard Time. Until then, I look forward to seeing y'all. Y'all enjoy y'all day. Of course, MEB got you at YouTube, came through. I look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow morning. Catch this vibe. Come on, fall in. It's me, your boy Trey, and I'm out. Peace.